Let's break it down. You've probably seen the headline-style claim, BRICS just killed the dollar, and I get why it spreads. The idea is dramatic. It feels like a clean turning point. One era ends, another begins. But the truth is more interesting and honestly more useful. Because the dollar isn't dead. What's happening is slower, messier, and more strategic. The world is building options, so fewer countries are forced to run every transaction through the US financial system. And if that trend accelerates, Canada sits in a very awkward, very powerful middle position. I'm Imran, a Middle East-based analyst who follows global economics, tech, and politics. My goal is to give you clear breakdowns so you can make up your own mind. So here's the plan in this video. Why the dollar became global default money. What's actually changing and what's not. What BRICS is really trying to build. Why Canada gets rich is possible and also risky. What signals to watch next? Alright, first, why the dollar became power, not just currency. For decades, the US dollar wasn't only used because America was big. It was used because the dollar system offered three things no other system matched at the same time. 1. The deepest financial markets, especially US Treasuries. 2. The strongest global payment plumbing, banks, settlement networks, legal predictability. 3. Security and alliances that encourage trust in dollar rules. So when companies traded oil, planes, wheat, chips, they preferred dollars because it reduced friction. You didn't want currency risk in every deal. You wanted one common language. Now second, what's changing? The change didn't begin because BRICS woke up one day and attacked the dollar. The change accelerated because many countries saw the dollar system being used as a weapon. When the US sanctions a country, freezes assets, blocks banks, pressures third parties, the message to the world is, this system is safe, as long as you are politically aligned. And once that thought enters the room, governments start doing something very rational. They reduce single-point dependency, not because they love each other, because they fear being trapped. So when you hear de-dollarization, don't imagine a dramatic collapse like a movie. Imagine a slow shift from one dominant system to a world with multiple lanes. Now third, what is BRICS actually doing? BRICS is not one country. It's a club with different interests. China wants more monetary influence. Russia wants sanction-proof trade. India wants strategic autonomy without being anyone's junior partner. Brazil and South Africa want better terms in global finance. And the newer members bring energy and trade weight. So instead of one big BRICS currency replacing the dollar, which is honestly very hard to do, they're pushing smaller, more achievable moves. Move number 1. Settle more trade in local currencies. If two countries trade, they can agree, let's do it in yuan and rubles, or rupees and dirhams, instead of dollars. Move number 2. Build alternative payment rails. Not necessarily a single BRICS version of SWIFT replacing everything, but systems that allow cross-border settlement without relying on US-aligned channels for every step. Move number 3. Diversify reserves. Central banks don't have to dump the dollar to reduce reliance. They can simply add other currencies, add gold, and spread risk. And move number 4. Experiment in commodities. Even if most oil remains priced in dollars, some deals can be priced in other currencies or structured through swaps or settled through different financial channels. So it's not BRICS killed the dollar, it's BRICS is helping create a world where the dollar is still dominant, but not the only gatekeeper. Now here's the key reality check, because you deserve honesty, not hype. The dollar still has massive advantages. It still leads global reserves by a wide margin. It still dominates foreign exchange markets, and it still sits in the center of international payments. So the dollar isn't dying. But the world is learning how to operate with a smaller dollar footprint. That's the real shift. Now fourth, where does Canada fit in? This is where the story gets spicy, because Canada is deeply tied to the US system, but Canada also has what the world increasingly wants: real resources, political stability, and credible institutions. Let's talk through the Canada gets rich thesis, and then the part nobody likes to say out loud. Why Canada could benefit. In a world where countries want safe assets and reliable supply, Canada looks attractive. Canada has energy, minerals, uranium, potash, agriculture, timber, and fresh water. And Canada has something rare: the perception of stability, rule of law, predictable contracts, and a banking system that global investors generally trust. If global trade becomes more multipolar, countries will want more suppliers that are not trapped inside one bloc's politics. That can push investment into Canada's resource projects, infrastructure, and export capacity. Also, if more countries diversify reserves away from only USD and EUR, they look toward other liquid stable currencies. And historically, the Canadian dollar has benefited from that safe, commodity-linked reputation. Now, the terrifying part, the risks. Canada is not just next to the US. Canada is economically connected to the US in a way that is hard to replace quickly. A huge share of Canadian exports flow to the United States. A lot of Canadian industrial supply chains are integrated with US companies, and Canadian growth is sensitive to US cycles. So Canada can't simply pivot to a new BRICS world without consequences. And if Canada suddenly becomes a magnet for global capital, you get problems too. Problem 1, currency strength. If the Canadian dollar rises hard, exporters can suffer and the economy becomes unbalanced. Problem 2, asset bubbles. Foreign money often targets real estate and financial assets first, not long-term productive investment. That can inflate housing and inequality. Problem 3, geopolitics. If the world splits into competing systems, middle powers get pressured, choose a lane. And Canada may face more intense pressure on trade policy, tech policy, and security alignment. So, the Canada gets rich scenario is possible, but it comes with governance challenges that determine whether the wealth becomes broadly shared or concentrated and destabilizing. Now, fifth, what should you watch next? Here are the practical signals. No drama, just indicators. 1. Reserve trends. Watch whether global central banks keep slowly reducing dollar concentration over years. 2. Payment infrastructure. Watch whether alternative payment systems become widely adopted for real trade, not just headlines. 3. Commodity settlement. Watch whether major commodity exporters sign recurring non-dollar contracts, not one-off experiments. 4. Canada's investment mix. If capital flows into productive capacity, ports, rail, energy, mining, processing, that's healthier than money chasing housing. 5. Canada's strategic posture. If Canada strengthens diversified trade ties while keeping its core stability, it can benefit from multipolar demand without losing control. Bottom line, BRICS didn't kill the dollar. But BRICS is part of a broader move toward a world where the dollar remains king, while more countries build a second and third exit door. And for Canada, that can be an opportunity if Canada manages it with discipline, or a risk if Canada lets money and geopolitics pull it into instability. If this breakdown helped, subscribe, hit like, and share it with someone who thinks de-dollarization is either nothing or the end of everything. And I want your view. Should Canada play it safe and stay tightly aligned with the old system? Or should Canada actively prepare for a more multipolar money world?